She left a plate of food out every night for a man she'd never met. But when he finally showed up, he brought more than hunger. He brought secrets, danger, and a crown. Now, her cooking isn't just feeding souls. It's awakening spirits, uncovering betrayals, and rewriting a kingdom's destiny. What starts as a simple meal ends in a battle for truth, love, and power. And what happens next will leave you speechless. They called her Amma Naira, blessing in the Akan language, but many whispered another name behind closed doors, the fire-handed one. Amma lived on the edge of Nkaranza, a Ghanaian village nestled between green hills and golden plains. Her house, though modest, always smelled like heaven. People swore they could follow the scent of her food from the market square to her doorstep. It was more than cooking, it was magic, they said. But Amma lived alone. She had no husband, no children, and no family left. Her parents had died young, and she'd been raised by her grandmother, a woman known both for her powerful prayers and secret recipes. The old woman passed down everything, her wisdom, her spices, and her secrets, before dying in her sleep one Harmattan morning. Now Amma cooked not for family, but for the village. And for someone else. Someone she had never met. But whose shadow danced in her dreams. Kwaku Asare was no ordinary man. He had royal blood, the only son of the late Chief Bafor of the Ashanti lineage. But after a failed coup, betrayal by a cousin, and the burning of his family compound, Kwaku vanished. They said he roamed the country, hiding in plain sight. Some claimed he'd become a hunter. Others whispered he was a madman now, talking to birds in the forest. No one knew for sure. But Amma, she felt him. Every evening she cooked a meal for him. She didn't know his name then. Didn't know who he was. She only knew something deep in her bones told her he was out there, hungry, tired, forgotten, and that her food would one day reach him. She placed a plate outside her hut each night. Jollof rice with goat meat, garden egg stew, grilled tilapia, kenki wrapped in banana leaves. Her dishes changed, but the ritual never did. And one night someone took the plate. At first she thought it was a hyena, or maybe a thief. So the next night she left 2 plates, one inside and one outside, with ashes dusted gently over the top to show if it had been moved. When she woke up the next morning, the ashes were disturbed, and the food was gone. No footprints, no trace, just silence. This went on for 7 nights. On the 8th night, she added a small piece of paper under the plate. On it, she'd written one sentence. "If you are human, leave a sign." The next morning the paper was back, and on the back was a single word, written in charcoal. Delicious. Amma's heart flipped like frying plantain. She sat back on her mat, hand over her chest. For the first time in years, she smiled with her teeth. That night she cooked her best dish, fufu and light soup with smoked bushmeat. She added drops of ginger, squeezed fresh lime into the pot, and chanted softly the words her grandmother once whispered over the fire. "May this food go where love is lost and bring it home again." On the 11th night he came. Amma was stirring her pot under the moonlight when she heard the crunch of footsteps. Not animals. Human. Her hand froze. A tall man stepped into the clearing. He was covered in dust. A faded green Kent cloth hung loosely from his shoulders, and a bow and arrow were strapped to his back. His beard was thick, his hair uncombed, and his eyes, looked like they had seen the whole world and maybe another one. Amma didn't speak. Neither did he. Instead, she stepped aside and pointed to the fire. He sat. She served him. With trembling hands, the man dipped his fingers into the soup, scooped up the fufu, and tasted it. He didn't speak, but tears rolled down his cheeks. Amma sat silently, watching. When he finished, he looked up and finally whispered, "I forgot what warmth tasted like." His name, he said, was Kwaku. He told her little, only that he'd been nowhere and everywhere, and that her food saved him. That night, he slept outside her hut, beneath the stars. The next morning he was gone. But this time he left behind something. A necklace with a royal insignia, the Ashanti lion carved in gold. It was no ordinary token. Amma's fingers trembled as she held it. That night she didn't cook. She lit a small fire instead and stared into it, the necklace in her lap, the air thick with questions. Who was this man? What was he running from? And why, of all places, did he come to her? The village was small. It didn't take long for people to notice the footprints, the second plate, the change in Amma's eyes, how they sparkled like never before. The palm wine seller, leaned over her stall one afternoon and whispered, "Amma, is it true you've caught a spirit husband?" Kojo the blacksmith joked, "Be careful, oh. These men that come from the forest are either princes or demons." Amma smiled politely but said nothing, because deep down she didn't know herself. But she knew he would return. And he did. 3 nights later, Kwaku reappeared. But this time he wasn't alone. 2 masked men trailed him from a distance, hiding in the tree line. Amma didn't notice at first. But as Kwaku sat down to eat, he whispered, "Don't be afraid, but I was followed." Amma's hands froze. "Who are they?" she asked softly. Kwaku's face darkened. "Men who want me dead. They know what I carry." He looked at her. "Do you trust me?" Amma didn't speak. She simply handed him a wrapped bowl of jollof and led him through the back of her hut, through the old cassava fields and into the hills. They walked in silence until they reached an abandoned cocoa barn. "You can hide here," she said. He looked at her like she was made of gold. That night, the village was restless. Dogs barked. People claimed they saw spirits. One of the masked men was found dead in the forest by morning. No one could explain it. But Amma knew. Her grandmother once said, "If your food holds your soul, it can protect or destroy." Amma returned home to find the necklace glowing faintly in the moonlight. She picked it up and felt heat pulse through her palm. Visions filled her mind, a great palace burning, Kwaku kneeling in chains, a betrayal at a feast, a voice whispering, "The throne is not lost. It only waits for the right heart." Amma gasped, dropping the necklace. The fire in her cooking pot suddenly flared high, unnatural blue and white. The next morning, an old woman she'd never seen before knocked at her door. "You must prepare," the woman said without introduction. "For what?" Amma asked, shaken. "For the return of the lion. And for the war your hands must feed." 3 days passed. Amma didn't see Kwaku again. But the old woman's words echoed in her ears like drums in the valley. Prepare. For the return of the lion. She had no idea what that meant, until the chief's guards arrived at her hut. Their robes were red, their boots heavy, and their eyes cold like morning dew. "You are Amma Naira," one of them asked. Amma nodded slowly. "You are summoned." "By whom?" she asked. The man only said one word. "The council." Her breath caught. The village council only summoned people when something serious or dangerous was happening. The council's hut sat at the highest point of Nkaranza. Inside, the air was thick with smoke, incense, and secrets. Amma stepped forward barefoot, head held high. The elders sat in a circle, and in the center of that circle was something shocking. Bound, bleeding, silent. He didn't look at her, but Amma felt it. He was ashamed. "He came to your home," one elder said. "He brought trouble to your doorstep." Amma's voice was steady. "He brought peace to my fire." Another elder growled. "He is a traitor to the Ashanti crown. A man in hiding. If you shelter him again, you betray the village." Amma glanced at Kwaku, who finally looked up. Something in his eyes pleaded with her. "Don't speak the truth." "Not yet." So she lied. "I did not know who he was," she said. "He came to eat. That's all." The elders exchanged looks. "Then you will prove your loyalty," the chief elder said. "You will cook for the festival of souls. You will prepare a royal feast." Amma's heart sank. The festival of souls was a sacred ritual, a night where ancestors were honored, and food was offered to the spirits. But it wasn't just a meal. It was a test. The food had to be so perfect, so powerful, that it could draw blessings from the dead, or curses if prepared with lies. If she failed, her shame would be public. If she succeeded, the spirits themselves would reveal the truth. That night, Alma walked into her grandmother's old storeroom. She opened the dusty wooden box she had never dared touch. Inside were scrolls, dried herbs, sacred oils, and a small bowl of black salt. The salt of truth. Her grandmother had warned her. Only use this when the fire in your heart is stronger than the fear in your mind. She sprinkled a pinch into the pot. Then she cooked. She pounded yam until her arms ached. She ground peppers with tears streaming down her cheeks. She roasted meats and infused them with palm wine and ginger, chanting ancient verses under her breath. Let those who eat this know what is hidden. Let the tongues speak, let the hearts burn clean. By morning she had prepared 8 dishes, 1 for each elder, and 1 for the man in chains. The festival of souls drew the entire village. A great fire was lit in the center. Drums played. The ancestors were invoked. Alma stepped forward with her bowls, each covered in white cloth. The elders watched. The people murmured. And then the chief elder nodded. Begin. She uncovered the dishes. Hush fell. The aroma hit the crowd like thunder. Rich, deep, divine. Some people gasped. One woman began to cry without knowing why. Each elder took 1 bite. Jude followed. And then, they began to speak. Not in their voices but in voices older than time. This man is not a traitor. He was betrayed. The crown was stolen from him. The lion sleeps not. He returns. The crowd screamed. Kwaku stood up. The ropes binding him fell off, untouched. A gust of wind blew through the fire. The ashes rose like sparks and formed the shape of a lion in the air, glowing for just a moment before vanishing. Alma fell to her knees, shaking. The spirits had spoken. By sunrise, the council had no choice but to restore Kwaku's name. He was no longer a man in hiding. He was Kwaku Asaretu, rightful son of the Ashanti chief, and heir to the throne. But he made a choice that shocked everyone. I don't want the city, he said. I want to rule here, where truth lives, where fire feeds love. And then, in front of the village, he turned to Alma. I wandered for years. I fought, I ran, I starved. But I only found peace at one fire, your fire. He knelt, not with gold, not with a crown, but with a bowl of fufu in one hand, and his heart in the other. Be my queen, not of palaces but of purpose. Cook with me. Rule with me. Alma looked at the crowd, then at the pot behind her, then at him, and she smiled. Years passed. People still told the story of the woman whose cooking awakened the spirits and exposed a kingdom's lies. Tourists came from far away to taste her food, but it was never about the flavor. It was about the feeling. Some said her dishes healed pain. Others said they gave people dreams of lost loved ones. One woman swore she got pregnant after 1 bite of Alma's ugbono soup. Alma only laughed and said, I don't cook miracles. I just feed the soul. And every night she and Kwaku sat by the fire, bowls in hand, hearts full. The crown never made them powerful. The fire did.